Joining me now on Locally Sourced EP is El Paso's own Christina Dark. How you doing, Christina?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing all right. First and foremost, thank you for joining us on this episode of Locally Sourced EP. For those who don't know who you are or know what you do, talk a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Christina Dark. I am from El Paso, Texas. I recently moved down here to Dallas a year and a half ago to pursue growing my career as an artist and, as a cosplayer and as an actor and a model. I've been cosplaying for about 10 years now, and I've been modeling for 10 years and acting longer than that. And I do a lot of comic book cosplay heroes, some video game, but my portfolio is more like superheroes from what you've seen in my portfolio. But I really enjoy DC Comics, Marvel Comics, but a little bit more biased on the DC side. So
that's okay. That's awesome. I've known you for a while now. First met you over at the El Paso Comic Con when you were cosplaying there, and just for those who don't know what cosplaying is, talk a little about the work that goes into it, especially when you do custom costumes that you make yourself. I mean, you just don't order these from a company that makes them. You guys make your own stuff.
Yeah. So the thing is that most of my cosplays I make myself, and some of them, when you mentioned bought, a lot of cosplayers do buy their cosplays. For me, if it's something out of my skill set, or because even though I've been doing this for 10 years, there's some things that still really scare me to do that I'm trying to push myself to do, but and try to broaden my horizon with my craft. But most of the cosplays I've done, I make myself, or I find pieces somewhere on the internet and like modify them. Sometimes I like to get things commissioned because it also helps people who make costumes for other people. It helps their smaller business. And sometimes I just buy it off the internet, and it just, if I know it can save me time and some money, depending on my budget, sometimes I'll buy it off too. But it depends on the cosplayer itself, because there's some that make their costumes 100%, every single thing to the smallest detail. And then there's cosplayers like myself that kind of immerse myself and dabble into things and make a costume.
Oh, that's awesome. You see, I didn't even know that. Like I knew that some people bought stuff, but that's so cool to learn something new, that you purchase something from someone else who makes it and you help them out.
Yeah, you help them out. And I always like to give credit, because there's some cosplayers out there that kind of unfortunately say like, I've done everything, and they actually purchased something or it was commissioned without saying, without giving credit to that business, right, or to that person. So I like to make it very transparent that sometimes everything I have in a costume I didn't make all myself, or there was some details someone else made for me or 3D printed for me. So I like to have that transparency, that not everything I do, not everything, but some things I didn't do myself, and helped a smaller business.
That's cool. Is there do you have a favorite cosplay that you have? And is there a fan favorite?
Oh my gosh. So I think my favorite, and I don't know if people get so sick of it, and a lot of people like favorite as well, is my Blue Beetle cosplay. I feel like, I don't know, I'm so proud of that, because it was the first time I did foam armor, because I really wanted to get out of my comfort zone, and wanted to dabble into filmmaking. And with the helps of some of my friends who are really great at, making foam armor, like my friend Jesus, my other friends out there, teaching me tricks and tips and tricks with foam. That's how I was able to do my Blue Beetle cosplay. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud of it. And a lot of people really enjoy it, because you don't see so many Blue Beetle cosplayers out there. And so I take much pride in that costume.
That is one of the coolest costumes I think I've seen you in, and
Thank you.
And it's on, especially on your profile and stuff like that. It just pops, the color, and
Yeah.
and just the way it's built, it just pops and looks so cool.
Thank you. I'm very proud of it, and especially because um, I I think there's this kind of like judgment in the community and people outside of the community who don't cosplay as well, of kind of labeling cosplayers like you only do this kind of cosplay, or you only stay in this area. And I was kind of sick and tired of hearing naysayers saying, oh well, she only does sexy cosplay, like that's all she can do, right? And it's like, oh yeah, you want to watch me, here's a, and it was a dream project, for myself for the longest time to do. And so when I did that, everyone shut up. It's like I can do something. And because of getting comfortable doing that, that's when I did my second armor build, which I thought was so hard, because when you look at it, you're like, it's pretty easy, but when you start doing the process, it was pretty difficult, was my Wonder Woman. So that was my second build. And so I'm very proud of that costume as well. But that's something that I wanted to not only prove to people, but for myself, that I can do something different, and very proud of that.
Yeah, those. I mean, everything that I've seen you in, even when we used to do the photography at the cons, there when we shot pictures of you when you come into the booth, they're so well done. I mean, I'm not just saying that because we're talking to you. Just you do a hell of a job. All right, Christina, you've done a lot of Comic Cons, a lot of cons internationally, at local and internationally. What's probably some of your favorite? What has been your favorite con or favorite event that you've done?
I think the one, actually two that really stuck out to me while I was traveling doing cons last year was Planet Comic Con and MegaCon. So Planet Comic Con and MegaCon, I think, are like two of the biggest top cons in the United States, from what I remember. But the venue is ginormous. The guests were really good, A-list guests, and the cosplays in those two events, the Planet Comic Con and MegaCon, were wild. I've never seen so many cosplayers with I don't know, very not glamorous, but huge cosplays, very detailed, a lot of effort put into them. And it's so wild to me, because when I see these cosplays, from what I just remember, in my head I'm like, you should be on this side of the table, and because of just how fantastic you are and how talented you are, and I need to be on this side. Like, what am I doing here with my banner, like promoting my get over here? So those were two cons that really stuck out to me. I wanted to mention one, but I think those two were the really big ones that really stood out to me. Oh my gosh, there was like really great Overwatch cosplays. I've never played Overwatch, but just, if you remember from the characters, some of them have like really big, robust, kind of like robotic type armor cosplays. That's what I was seeing at Planet. But yeah, I feel like that was a really long-winded answer, but
yeah,
it's amazing to me, because I've just never seen anything like that. And
that just shows how much you are in awe of the costumes. I mean, you can't just nick it down to one place or one specific cosplay.
You really can't, because I was asked that previous too about what was my favorite con to do, and I want to say all of them really, but because just the hospitality, getting to know the community there, and seeing what they bring to the table when it comes to cosplay, or just even the event itself with their guests, and how they're treating their I guess their attendees, or people attending Comic-Con with their families. All of them have been incredible and amazing, but I have to say Planet Comic-Con and MegaCon were the ones that were like, wow, like I'm in this venue, that's crazy. And so, but it makes me it humbles me too. It makes me step back and be like, wow, like these are amazing people, and it inspires me to do better, and it pushes me to do better. And the community there were so warm and so welcoming that I've made a few friends. I made a few friends everywhere I've been traveling to Comic-Con that I will remember, and I will reach out to them. Sometimes I still talk to them. Mm-hmm. Or hopefully again, when all of this, goes away and Comic-Con comes back, I would like to reach out to them and hang out with them. But every con I've been to has been very inspiring, very just big, just huge. And so, yeah, that's my long answer.
Oh, it's been affecting you. Talk a little about how you're handling the pandemic, because this is probably one of your main sources of income, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, so cosplay is my source of income. Patreon, doing appearances at cons, whether they've invited me out or whether I've purchased a table just to go out there to promote myself and like my business, I guess. That's my source of income. And because since the pandemic started, I've noticed a decline in my sales and in my Patreon, and unfortunately, and even before that kind of decline started happening, I knew when this was like when it all started, I knew people were going to become employed, and it was going to affect me sooner or later. Yeah. And so I made sure to reach out to my fans who, support my Patreon or my store, my online store, and, told them, hey, like, times are going to be tough and I completely understand. And if you need to, unpledge, or step away from, helping me so you can focus on you, I 100% understand, and no hard feelings whatsoever. You guys supported me for such a long time and rooted me on for such a long time. And don't worry about me. I have a roof over my head. I can handle myself. Please focus on yourself and your income and your, your bills and your groceries and everything. So like, focus on yourself.
Right. Well, that's awesome. They know, like, people like that, like there's not many people like you, because they'd be like, oh, help me out. Like, and like just begging for money, not just like wanting people to leave. But that's so cool that you're able to handle it and take care of yourself. And I know it's been hard for a lot of people during this pandemic. Is there any advice you'd give to any of the cosplayers like that now, especially handling the pandemic? Anything you've done different that's been working for you that you'd like to share?
I've been trying to take it day by day. There's times my thoughts get way ahead of me and I'm thinking weeks and months ahead of me for things that haven't even happened yet. Like what's going to happen if this happens? Or, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this? Or like, how am I going to, get groceries, so it's those small things. And I try to remind myself to take things just day by day. Trying to continue my life, like if it hasn't really been affected, because it has been by this, but just trying to just make one day at a time and, just focus, try to be present, focus on the now. Don't worry about, in the future, just try to be in the now. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just, again, just taking it day by day and, I don't know, I've been trying to kind of think outside the box of what I can do in the moment to stay motivated, because it's during this time, that's another thing. It's been hard to stay motivated. It's hard to stay inspired because everything's canceled, everything's locked down. So some of my costumes are just kind of in the corner collecting dust from, and these are costumes I was supposed to finish for cons I was going to be guesting at this year. So even though I know I'm not going to be wearing them anytime soon, it's like, well, maybe, you know what, let's just at least try to get up, try to paint something, try to do something to stay a little active. And I guess that's the advice I give to others, and especially to myself, because I need to hear that, because there's just times my anxiety or, sometimes depression hits in because of just, you're staying still, and I'm trying to find ways to keep going. Just, again, taking it day by day.
That's good advice. I mean, that's the best thing you could do, especially like we have a lot of people, they're not working as much or at all. They're working from home. Like for myself, with me and my kids, my wife's still working because she's an essential employee, and I'm on and off. So me and my kids have just been quarantining at home just to be safe. I mean, it's better safe than sorry. So it is the best thing to do, just take it day by day.
Yeah, take it day by day.
So, and then a question I should have asked you in the beginning was, how did you get into cosplaying? I mean, what got you into it?
So, growing up, I've always been a very big comic book nerd and video game nerd. I grew up with Super Mario, and I grew up with the Batman animated series and stuff since I was like 5 or 6 years old. So I was very much immersed into the very geeky world growing up. And I didn't really have access to comic books. It was just the internet. So that was my way to, know about these characters I would see on these shows I'd watch growing up, the X-Men shows. And so for Halloween, at this time, El Paso didn't have a Comic-Con, like in the early 2000s. We didn't have anything, and we didn't really have anything around us from what I remember. And so instead of, for Halloween, I would make superhero cosplays. But at the time they were costumes, because I didn't even know what cosplay was. And my mom would help me because my mom is a sewer in the family, and she teaches me here and there. And so we make my costumes for Halloween till about my senior year in high school. I made a friend that's like, why don't you cosplay? And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, well, since you're into like superheroes and video games, there's, these Comic Cons where you don't have to wait for Halloween. You can just dress up whenever, or, or you wear them for a con. And when I found that out, I was like, that's so cool. So when I graduated is when we actually had our first El Paso Comic Con, if you remember. Mm-hmm. And so that was like, 2010, 2011?
Yeah.
And so around that time. And so that's when I made, kind of just put together almost like a closet cosplay of Zatanna. Mm-hmm. And that was my first cosplay I wore to Comic-Con, and I loved it so much. And I loved the culture. I loved how everybody just had this love for a character that you loved as well. And there's just this fandom, this community, and just seeing all these cool merch around. So I thought, wow, this is something I want to do till I can keep going and, one day just stop. So, and so that's how I got into cosplay. And it just really ignited this spark in me that I don't know, just it's a creative outlet, because I didn't really have so much friends growing up in high school. And so I was very to myself, and it was a nice outlet for me to express myself.
That's awesome. That is a cool story. Just to hear how you've always been a comic book nerd and always been into the culture and everything, and you just didn't jump into it just because. That's so cool.
Yeah, I really, it was something I always tell my boyfriend or friends how, for me, it was really hard because I was always bullied growing up from elementary school to middle school to high school, and superheroes and watching those TV shows like Teen Titans and the animated series of X-Men, Batman, Superman, you name it, whatever was on TV, that was my way to escape reality. And I'd be like, man, I want to be a superhero so bad. And it just helped me escape from reality. And even just for a moment. And it was shows that kept me going in a way too, to keep, again, taking things day by day and persevere, and that people's words can't hurt me.
That's awesome. Well, I really like to thank you for joining me, Christina. I know there's a whole bunch of stuff we could talk about, and I would love to have you on again, just so we can touch on some other things that I know you're totally into and that you totally promote. I'll also include all your information, all your social media, all your links. I'll include it in the link in the description below. Is there anything else you want to say, Rad, before we end today?
No, nothing else. I mean, thank you so much for interviewing me. I hope you're doing well during this pandemic, and you're trying to take things day by day as well, and you're doing good.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you back here in El Paso at the cons or any of the other cons. And
hopefully I can come back. I don't know. So,
if not, we'll see. Hopefully we could see you in another one. And if anything else comes up, if you ever need anything, you can always contact us here.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye, guys.